There's a long tradition of philanthropy in the US, stretching back to Rockefeller and Carnegie. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett are asking their fellow billionaires to sign a giving pledge to give away half their fortunes. One of those who's doing so is David Rubenstein.
I don't have the money that Bill Gates or Warren Buffett has, so I have to pick projects where I think my amount of money will make a difference, and so that's what I've tried to do. Most people, when they start giving away money, probably give it to their alma mater or other educational institutions because everybody wants people to be smarter and better informed. Also, people tend to do things relating to health because health is something that everybody wants everyone else to have, good health and longer life. And so I've given away a fair amount of money in education and health, but I've tried to find certain things in the Washington area where I live and where my money was made that I think will help the city of Washington or help our country. And I've called it patriotic philanthropy. And by that I mean trying to remind people of the legacy of our country, the great problems we've had in the beginning and the great challenges we've overcome, but really what's made our country so great. And so I'm trying to focus on preserving historic documents like the Magna Carta, the Declaration of Independence, the Emancipation Proclamation, or repairing monuments like the Washington Monument, or helping to renovate the Kennedy Center, or things with the National Archives or the Smithsonian, as a way of encouraging other people to say, yes, we have an obligation to this country to give back to the country, so it's good to give to your alma mater, it's good to give to a hospital, but also remember the country that you're from and try to give back to the country and make the country a better place than it was before.
And how do you decide what's the most effective of the philanthropic work that you do?
Nobody really has a perfect metric. In the business world, we have a metric, profit and loss, and you can know whether you're doing well or not. In the philanthropic world, there's no perfect metric. Now, some people have very complicated ways of analyzing the impact of what they've given, and they're very careful and dutiful about it. I don't have a staff, I don't have a foundation. I tend to give money to organizations I trust and people I trust, and I get reports from them and I try to monitor it myself, but there's no perfect way, and generally I'm happy with what I've done. Maybe 90% of the time I'm happy and 10% I'm not happy, and then I just don't give more money to people that I'm not happy with. But there's no perfect way, and I don't want to obsess over the metrics so much so that the people don't really want to have my money, or they roll their eyes when they see me coming along and say, I'll give you money, but I want all kinds of metrics every week I want to report. I tend not to do that, but I'm not saying others that do it are terrible. I just don't do it myself. Well, in private equity, I have been a specialist in raising money for my firm, so that was my area of expertise. I really wasn't the investor, I was the person who asked the money. So I do think that I've taken that skill set, to the extent that it's a skill set, and tried to apply it to philanthropic areas. So I'm willing to ask people for money. Very often people in my situation don't like to ask other people for money, or they don't want to chair a capital campaign, but I'm quite willing to do it because I realize it helps an organization if someone like me is willing to give money but also ask other people for money.
And what about advice for your earlier self when it comes to how to do philanthropic work? Should you have started earlier, done things in a different approach? What would you say to the young David Rubenstein?
Yes, when I was young, I came from a family of very modest means, and so what I wanted to do was to rise up and actually make some money. And when I finally did make money, I didn't realize how much I was fortunate enough to make, but I didn't really give money away early on, and maybe I should have, and maybe I should have made it part of my DNA early in life to give away a percentage of whatever I had. So I regret very much not doing this much before my 50s. I wish I had started in my 20s, 30s, and 40s, but I really didn't. And I hope my children will do things differently, and I hope younger people will get involved in philanthropy as part of their life and not as part of an add-on to after a successful business or a professional career.